Started. All right. Welcome everyone to the 2023 Tier 2 contract webinar. Congrats on getting your Tier 2 funding. Yay. We're very excited for everyone to be our 2023 grantees and all the exciting projects that you have coming up or recently had. So yes, we're very excited for you. Glad you can join us this morning. I promise that we will end on time and depending on how fast I go, maybe a little bit early. But really appreciate you taking the time today to be here with us. And I hope this information is useful for you as well as maybe you'll learn something new. So the agenda for today, I'll do some brief introductions talking about the ZAP staff, and then we'll do a brief overview of Tier 2. Then we'll go into the timeline of when you'll be receiving your funding, some contractual obligations, and then I'll do a brief demonstration on how to sign your contract within the Zoom Grants platform. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Daniel Sturgios. I'm the Grant and Communications Coordinator for ZAP. I've been in this role for a little over 2 years now. We also have, she's not here with us today. She couldn't join us, unfortunately, but Samantha Mary Thermos, who is our ZAP Program Director. We also have a couple of new faces, which is exciting for ZAP because we haven't had these positions before. So first, who joined us in July is Addie Rich. Addie, I don't know if you want to like send a wave emoticon or anything, but Addie joined us as the ZAP program assistant. So she's working with us part-time, helping with everything we do, as far as, you know, some emails, some social media, all the fun stuff. So we're very excited to have her. And then also brand new to us, just a couple weeks ago, is Kelsey Ellis. She's also in the room. There she is. She's waving. Hey, Kelsey. Um, Kelsey is our ZAP Impact Program Manager, and that is also a brand new thing. The ZAP Impact Program has been in the works behind the scenes for a while now, and it's going to be an offering that's going to be focused around capacity building, primarily for some Tier 2 recipients. So we're very excited about that. Kelsey, I don't know if you want me to add anything or if you wanted to add anything about that, but
I don't have much to add. I'm just working on some details about what this program and the opportunities might be. I'm really excited to get to work with a lot of you. And also, I just kind of want to let you know that my door is essentially always open. Like if you ever just want to grab coffee or other things, and maybe those conversations will be more directed when we learn more about what the ZAP program, the impact program is going to be. But I still, I know many of you or your names are familiar when I was at the Salt Lake City Arts Council for a while, but again, just excited to get to know many of you in my new role here.
awesome. Yeah, we're very excited. So that more information will be coming in the coming weeks and months about that. So stay tuned. But this is a photo. This is before Kelsey joined us, but this was at us at our ZAP Kids Summer Passport, which we held back in August. So we need to get a new photo, but yeah, that was an exciting day. All right, so here are some stats about the ZAP application. As you can see, so this year we were able to fund 3.4 million with the Tier 2 funding, which is quite a jump from last year. We also had quite a jump in applications. Last year we had 190 and we jumped to 208, or sorry, 212, which is very exciting. It is a good indicator that our arts community is thriving post-COVID, post 2020, all that stuff, but just in general, as the Salt Lake Valley continues to grow, so is our arts community, which is really exciting. And then here's some stats that we have compiled from what you give us. Many of you know that our application is a bit lengthy. Apologies about that. It also does really help us in terms of communicating the impact of ZAP. This is something that was taken directly from a presentation that we gave to the county council when they approved the Tier 2 funding recommendations. And as you can see, there's a lot of great things going on here. Over 17,000 events, as well as over 4 million in attendees, which is several times the population of the Salt Lake Valley, which is really cool. And also it's boosting our economy through these events, as well as full and part-time jobs, and a really robust volunteer base with over 24,000 volunteers. So that is really exciting, and it's a testament to everything that all of you do, which is really cool. Okay, so just a brief reminder about the timeline and the cycle. So as all of you know, you submitted your applications in the spring. You were then had your application reviewed in the summer. In the fall, we were able to get the funding approved by county council. And so now we move into contracts, and we are a little behind schedule, unfortunately, but we are getting quickly caught up. And so as long as we still have the contracts in on time, we will have the payments issued to you on time. So as it said at the beginning of the slides, it said your contract's going to be due November 17. So just have that on your calendar. And then you'll be receiving your funding in 2024. Your first payment will be 60% of your award, and that'll be within January. And then your final 40% amount will be issued in April. So you can expect that to show up. All right. So now I'm going to go into contractual obligations. These are items that are within the contract that you sign. Most of this is a repeat from last year, but there is some new and additional information and some optional offerings that are not contractually obligated, but are strongly recommended by staff and board to participate in. So that way, you know, you do the things that are required within your contract, but then also are able to participate in other ways. So this is a reminder of what we do not fund and what you cannot use your funds for. I don't believe anyone had these specifically outlined in your application, otherwise we would have had to talk about it. But if you did, then please let us know so we can talk about it. But the whole list I'm not going to go over, but I did bold some of the things that we do get questions on oftentimes. So one of those being events outside Salt Lake County. We know that many of you do things outside the county, and we support you in spirit. But just as a reminder that your ZAP funding cannot be used for the events outside the county. As well as capital improvements. So that's things to buildings and spaces. Or if you wanted to do like a public art project, like sculpture or something like that, the funds couldn't be used for that stuff. However, they can be used in other ways, like surrounding it. So maybe you can't use it for the capital expense itself, but if you did an unveiling event, you could use it for that instead. We also don't fund regranting, so grants, scholarships, that kind of stuff. The ZAP funds can't be used for those. And activities that are primarily religious in purpose. We know that there's sometimes religious components, or like one of the common questions we get is like a Christmas choir, like that's still welcome. It's when there's like proselytizing within the event, that's when the ZAP funds can't be used. So just stay mindful of those. And if you are interested in any of questions around that, you can contact me and I'm happy to answer. Let's see. I just had a question pop up. Let's see. Do you know who funds? Oh, do I know who funds sister city programs? That's a good question. I would check, I would start with the cities themselves. Like, so if you're doing the event, let's say in Salt Lake City, Salt Lake City Arts Council, like I don't know that they would fund it, but they actually might know where people go for those things. Maybe West Valley too. Like, I don't know if West Valley would fund it specifically, but they may know who does fund it. That's a good question though. All right. And then as well as your use of funds, so you must contact us if you plan to alter the way you're using your funds in any way than you outlined within your application. You're expected to use the funds in the timeline you used in the way that you outlined because that was what was approved by the board and by the council. So if you do have any changes, if something gets canceled, please just let us know. We can figure out a way to adjust. And we also ask that you do let us know in it's like well in advance. We did have, we've had contact with some people who, they were going to have their event and things changed. And so they contact us on like the day before things were supposed to happen and really having a plan, an action plan in advance will help with any transition because we still would need to get some approval and some things in writing just to stay on top of everything. Um, and then as far as the timeline of spending your funds go, you will need to spend the funds by the end of 2024. Um, because ZAP funds are not meant to be overlapped and they are also not meant to go outside of the window that you would have outlined. And so some of you will be using the funds to like, retroactively pay yourself for something you're doing, this year. Like say you're doing something this month, and so you're using the January payment to pay for this thing. Others, you will not, you'll get the funds in January and April, but you're not using it until November of next year. So um, that should have been outlined in your application. And so if you um, need to adjust that, or if you have any questions, just let us know. But that's what's expected. Okay. Um, as far as your contracts go and your contract documents, you'll want to, and I'll do a demonstration of this as well in a little bit, but you'll go into Zoom Grants and you'll go to, there'll be a new tab that says ZAP 2020 Tier 2 contract. And there will be two attachments. Both of these are your part of your contract. One of them is the application that you have submitted. The other is the ZAP logo and acknowledgement guide. And you'll want to save both of these documents to have on hand just so that you have them and can refer to them in case you have questions of um, what your contract includes. The logo usage guide is very specific into how you should be using the logo. This is for things on your posters and banners, programs, advertisements, that sort of thing, as well as specific ways of like, don't stretch it out, don't rotate it, that sort of thing. So if you have any questions about using the logo, you can refer to the guide. And we recommend that you pass this on to anyone of your like staff or volunteers that may work on marketing. And then as well as banners and signage, we did hold an event a few weeks ago called the ZAP Marketing Mastery event. If you attended, thank you for coming. And if you were unable to make it, I'm still going to go over some of that information today. But we did collect some survey data as far as who needed signage. And so we will be getting those items to you. We'll be doing an order here pretty soon for the end of the year and get that to you either by the end of this year or early next year. But if you need any of that, please just contact me and I'm happy to put you down on the list. But we have posters, we have window clings, banners, And we're very excited. We just handed them out at the event. We have now have ZAP Spanish posters, which is pretty exciting. So, um, but just remember to use those at your events. Having that visual aid is very helpful, as well as specifically for next year. And I'll go into that in a little bit. Um, And then also part of your contractual obligations is the invitations to your events to the board. So many of you already do this, and it's great. And so please keep doing it. And others, if you're unfamiliar, part of the contract states that you must invite the respective board, so the tier two board, to at least one event per year, and we recommend that you invite them to a couple of events or several of them, just so that way they kind of have that option, because as they have busy schedules they may or may not be able to make one or another, but they do try to, and have been increasingly going to more, which is really exciting. So this is part of a contractual obligation, and then as well as an elected official form. So this would be the county council, if you wanted to invite them to your event as well. We have a separate form for that. And if you need to find either of these forms, Addie just put the link in the chat, but it is, you go to the ZAP website and there's this resources tab, and you'll find it under the resources section. So advisory board form and invitation form, invitation form. Another part of your contractual obligations is posting your events on Now Playing Utah. So all of you should be using this website, and if you're not, now you'll get to. Posting your events on Now Playing Utah is a great way for the public to find out about your events. And it's a tool that many use with their calendars. And Now Playing Utah also has their calendar populated on different sites, some city sites and other partners. So it's not just posting it to the one page. Once you do create that event posting, it shares it out to several websites. So it's a really good tool. All right, so the ZAP Digital Guide. This is a new offering and new tool that ZAP has created for you. I, along with Addie, spent a lot of hours on it, and so we're really excited for you all to be able to use it. The things in this guide are optional, but we find that they may be helpful from the staff's perspective, as well as some of the board comments that we have seen. This may be able to help you address some of those. And so I'm not going to go over everything within the guide in detail, but I'll kind of breeze through it, since we did do that at the Marketing Mastery event, but we also wanted to do it here so that everyone is aware. So some of the things that are within this guide is talking about the ZAP website redesign. As some of you may have noticed, the ZAP website looks a little different now. We also have a social media guide, some tips for event promotion, and Instagram takeover, submitting testimonials for ZAP, and then some content ideas. So the ZAP website redesign, if you've seen it, or if you use Addie's link in the chat, you can go and notice that it does look different than it used to. It is now more user friendly. There's less menus on the side and on the top, and it's a little easier to navigate. It is more accessible. And then one of the really exciting things about it is that ZAP now has its own event calendar, also with Now Playing Utah. So as you post the event that you're holding on Now Playing Utah, it's also going to share it to the ZAP website. And so we now have a ZAP event calendar, which is really exciting. This is another way for the public to learn about our grantees and what they do, but also just another place for the public to be able to find your event. So you can see here, this is what it looks like. So it'll have the image that you upload, as well as the information, and then a link to more information. So And if you notice that you put an event on Now Playing Utah and it's not on the ZAP website, just let us know. It is still a work in progress. The whole site is, and so we're continuing to make updates as we find them. So if you notice anything a little off, just let us know. Social media guidelines. So in addition to like Now Playing Utah postings, many of you use social media to promote your events and offerings and programs and all that. And so one of the things that we wanted to remind you about is utilizing ZAP. So um, part of the benefit of ZAP is, of course, the funding, but the other part of it is that you are now part of this ZAP family and this like ZAP umbrella brand, which can kind of elevate your offerings and let the public know that um, that you're an organization of standard that's providing good programming and all that. And so especially with next year, many of you are aware of this, but if you are not, ZAP is a voter approved program. And so it is voted on by the public once every 10 years. And the last time it was held was in 2014. And so the next time it'll be on the ballot is next year in 2024. What that means is we're trying to have the ZAP logo and the ZAP brand more in front of the public because we want them to know that it exists. As ZAP staff and the ZAP office, like the county cannot tell anyone any specific messaging, but we can provide education and outreach. But you as grantees do not have the limitations that we do. You are able to say um, whatever it is you want about ZAP. So explaining to the public what the support provides you and how it impacts your organization is super important. And so when it comes to your social media post, tagging us in it is going to be beneficial because we can share it out and help elevate those things that you're trying to promote. And so tagging us and making us a collaborator will help you with those items. And then as well as something we started doing last year and part of this year is Instagram takeovers. And this has been a new thing for us. And so we're still learning, but it's been really successful so far. We did some with Art Days de Mexico, Nitya Naritya Foundation. Let's see, I think we did one with the aquarium and many others. And so what it is we actually give them our password to our Instagram account and they take it over for a day. And it's to sometimes promote a specific event and they take us behind the scenes of something that they're about to open. Or they also just will take a day to highlight what they do and say, this is our staff, these are our volunteers. This is the programming that we provide and it really helps us and the community in these ways. And so it's been really successful. We've seen growth, like it helps both accounts grow. It lets the public know. It's another way to showcase and highlight what you do. And so if you'd like to do that, we have a form there's a link within the guide itself and on the website, but you can sign up on our social media form to promote a specific thing. But then in addition, if you'd like to do a takeover, you can do that as well. Event promotion, in addition to Now Playing Utah, we also want to make sure that you're posting it on Facebook or Instagram, that kind of stuff, inviting the elected officials and other, and that can be, not just the county, but that like if you're in a specific city, you can invite that city's elected officials too, because those are really, those are the people that have that power to advocate and also share out your message. Um, and then also utilizing influencers. This is something we're learning about that more grantees are doing, is that they're using some local specific accounts to help reach out and share their message. And it's been working so far. So we put that in there too. We also wanted to bring Ticket Tuesdays back. So many of you who have been grantees for many years used to see that we would do ZAP Ticket Tuesdays, which was a great program. It usually did get pretty consistent engagement online. And so we wanted to bring it back. We haven't had it since COVID, so we wanted to make sure we had that offering back because there were a lot of you actually emailing me about it. And so what it is if you do have an event coming up, say you have a theater performance, um, and you'd like to promote it, we can do a Zap Ticket Tuesday where we give away 2 tickets on our Facebook or Instagram page. And what people usually do is they just have to like and follow our pages. And so those, increases your numbers that way. And then people comment, their favorite musical performance or whatever it is. And that engagement has been really successful in the past. So we wanted to bring it back. And then testimonials. So many of you probably have gotten an email from me at some point in the past about one, and then many of you probably haven't. But it is one of the easiest ways for ZAP to not, explain to the public what an organization does, but rather it uses your direct voice to tell the impact of ZAP. And so we've been collecting these and we'll be sharing them over the next several months. But you can see here that there's a couple of them from Wasatch Community Gardens and Hale Center Theater. But rather than me emailing you individually, we now have a specific form where you can submit your own testimonial. And we just ask that it's, a short snippet of like 60 words and then a couple of photos, and we'll get those posted. And we also share those with elected officials. This was taken directly from what we presented to the council for this year's funding approval. And so this year we highlighted Salt Lake Eastern Arts Club and Friends of Harriman, but we definitely want to be able to share more of them. So please submit those and we'll get those posted. And then content ideas. As we, are bolstering all of our presences online. I've talked to a few of you and you're kind of like, well, we only do a season that's in the fall, or we only have like a summer event season. And then what else do we do for the rest of the year? And so we've put just a few ideas together. So highlighting your staff or your volunteers, asking quiz style questions, testimonials again, different statistics about your events and or sneak peeks, that kind of stuff. All of that is great, and so to have that consistent presence is a really good way for the public to know about you, regardless of what time of the year it's in. So even if you do have only a specific event that's at one time of the year, having something on there every couple months can help let them know that you're still present. And so again, if you need to access the digital guide, and we highly recommend all of you go and download it and start using it, and you can share it with your teams. You can use Addie's link again in the chat. And it's the ZAP digital guide, and it's under the resources tab. So the same page as the elected invitation form, as well as the logo and banner guide. All right, last but not least, ZAP is undergoing another project because we don't do enough, so we're trying to do more. ZAP is going to be creating a promotional video that the grantees can use to explain what ZAP is and how it supports them. ZAP has not made a video in 10 years. If you go to our website and go to the About page, there's a short 1-minute video that's like a series of words. And so we want to make a slightly longer video. We would like to make a 3-minute video that does showcase a bit more about what the grantees do. And so during the ZAP Marketing Mastery event, we did ask when people registered if your organization already has a video that you would like to have some of that included in, like within the B-roll. And, if we have a montage, do you have some shots of the things that you do? So that way we can use that. And so we will be reaching out to you again for another call for entries. And then if you did attend the ZAP Marketing Mastery event and did say that you have something, we'll be reaching out to you to collect those. But the idea is that we'll be working with a production company directly, and then we will be able to supply them with this, video library of our grantees and what they do. And so, we're going to try and include in as many of the grantees that we can, and especially across all the different disciplines, the offerings, the events, the classes, all of those things. So that way we can really showcase the variety of what ZAP does support, as well as the variety of programmings that you all provide, and not just in one area, but throughout the whole county, and have all of the cities and districts represented. So we're very excited about this project, and we hope that y'all will be involved with that. And so our timeline for this is that we're going to be collecting the footage and everything over the next few months. And then the video will be ready hopefully by the end of the first quarter of next year. So that way you all can utilize and share out the video for the rest of the year and years on. So very excited about that. All right, evaluation. So your evaluation will be required to submit along with your 2025 application. So within your 2-year timeline. And the reason we do that is because you have all of 2024 to utilize the funds. So rather than trying to do it right at the end of 2024, we just aligned it better to where you'll submit it with your tier 2 application within 2025. But just as a reminder that that's what you'll need to do, and it is a contractual obligation. All right, ZAP monthly newsletter. So we do have a monthly newsletter that we send out, which has updates about everything from your funding updates and application updates, as well as other things that ZAP is doing, and other things that the Arts and Culture Division is doing. So if you saw our October newsletter, you saw that we have a lot going on. Arts and Humanities Month just wrapped up in October, so there's a lot of things happening. But if you are not signed up, you can also do that. You guessed it, on the resource tab on the ZAP website. So underneath all of those different links and stuff, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it looks like this. And you just sign up for the newsletter, you enter these fields, and then you're good to go, and you'll get those once a month. And we do recommend that you and your marketing teams or volunteers that help with communications or programming are signed up for these, just because when we do send out the notifications about like upcoming like specific events, I'm thinking about how later today and next week, Arts and Culture is going to be doing they're building a new performing arts center, if you didn't know. And we put out the listening tour message on our newsletter just last week. So things like that are going to be on the newsletter. And so it's really good to be in the know for you and your team. And we also recommend that you add Zoom grants to your safe sender list, so that way you don't miss any of the emails coming from Zoom grants, as well as keeping us up to date on your information as well. All right, payment works. If you're a returning organization, meaning you were funded in 2022, you probably don't need to worry about this since you registered last year. But for those of you that are a new organization, you'll be receiving an email that's to sign up for Payment Works, and this is required to receive your payment. As well as for organizations who are already within the system, but if you're not familiar, or there's been some changeover or change in roles and you're not sure about access, you'll want to connect with those who manage your budgets. And if you're not sure about that, then you'll need to contact me So that way you can have access to your account and update the info as necessary. Let's see. All right. Public use of funds. So this is just a reminder that your organization, uh, now that you have been approved as part of the ZAP, the ZAP applications have been approved and you are part of the public fund, your application is considered as public record. So if a member of the public would like to access your application, they can submit a GRAMA request through the county and they can get that information. If that happens for whatever reason, we will reach out to you and let you know that someone's requesting that information. So all of that will be communicated to you, but just so you know that that is now considered a public record. And then insurance. So this is something that we don't dictate, but we do expect you to have, and we expect you to know what is appropriate. So we don't have a specification of what level of insurance you need, but we have determined that you can determine that for yourself and know what's appropriate for the size and scope of your organization. All right, and then also just staying connected with us, like again on social media. It's the easiest way to for us to share stuff. I know that we have our Instagram DMs are usually full with people saying, "Can you repost this?" So um, feel free to do that. And as well as we just started a LinkedIn page. And so that's brand new for us. We're going to be sharing a lot more of our like ZAP statistics and data on there, which we're excited about. Um, and again, the newsletter. So and then sharing this, I'll be sharing out the link of this webinar for anyone else who in your team needs to watch it. Just as a reminder, whoever signs your contract will need to watch this webinar first. So if you're watching it for them, unfortunately, you'll still have to send them the link and they'll need to watch it. And it's also useful for not just yourself but or whoever signs the contract, but also things I mentioned about the payment schedule is good for your finance staff. The communications is good for your marketing staff, etc. So feel free to share it with them. We'll post the link to this either later today or tomorrow, so you'll have that with you. All right, the moment you all have been waiting for, signing your contract. So I'm going to do a brief demonstration now. So I'm going to bring this over. Okay. So you're going to go to zoomgrants.com and you're going to log in. Let's see. All right. And then if you can see under ZAP 2023 Tier 2 application, you'll click into your application. All right. And then so you can see within here, my test application that it's a fake one I've created is Camp Half-Blood. If you know what that is, then awesome. And if not, there's a series called Percy Jackson that's like there's a TV series coming out pretty soon and it's gonna be awesome. So you should check that out. Uh, but anyway, so you can see underneath where you've had your application, your eligibility check and everything, you'll see that there's this new tab here that's popped up, 2023 Tier 2 contract. And then, so you'll see here that there's a populated contract. You'll need to read through it. Most of it we've gone through here today, but you'll still want to read through and make sure you understand everything that's in it. And so you'll scroll all the way to the bottom. All right, and so there will be three places that you need to sign your contract. There's the two attachments, which we talked about earlier. The first is your application, and then the second is the logo and acknowledgement guide. And so all you have to do is put in your name, spell it right, Then you can click out of it to save. It'll say, and it'll appear when the page is refreshed. So if I refresh the page, go back to the tab. See that it is now appeared. So you'll need to do that for both exhibits, and then you'll need to do a final signature at the bottom here. After you've signed all three pages, or sorry, all three sections, the ZAP staff will come in here and we'll sign the first two, and then contracts office to sign the final signature. After that, you'll be completed and ready to go. There won't be any further action on your part after that. But there's one more thing that I wanted to show you in Zoom Grants while we're here. And that is the board scores and the comments that they give you as a result of your application. And so you can see there's another tab over here that's new and it says results. And if you click that, it'll bring you to this page where you can see the board says hello and it'll have your average scores. We don't give the individual scores of the board that reviews your application, but we do give the average. So you'll find those there and you'll want to review those and incorporate those comments into next year's application. This year we did see a lot of, I wasn't able to find them on social media or their website was confusing. There was several comments about the application not having either enough detailed budget or explanation of use of funds. So you want to pay attention to those as well. And then also we did note that there were quite a few of you that skipped application question 12. So this question used to not be required, but this year we did move it into the required section for all applicants. Some of you skipped over that, and so this year we didn't hold it accountable. And we do expect it to be answered next year. So if you had an incomplete application, that would have affected your score. So next year it will. But that's everything within Zoom grants and everything within the presentation. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to Addie or myself. We're happy to answer anything. And then I'll check the chat actually. Let's see. Oh, there's a few. Okay. That's right. Off on my game. Help. That's not. Sign up our own newsletter. Yes, przap@slco.org. If you don't already have that email, you can send us your newsletters and your press releases and all of that. Let's see. Okay. What else? What is that a score out of? A possible number of Oh, so each of the scores that are in there, it is an average out of 5. So if you look at on the website or within the application, the scoring criteria document, the scoring criteria is what the board reviews you. So it's a scale of 1 to 5, and then, or sorry, I think it's a scale of 1 to 7. And so the board will give you it could be a 7 and a 3 and a 4 or whatever it is. The three different sections of the arts and cultural vibrancy and then the organizational capacity and outreach. So they'll give you a separate score for each of those. And so between the board, it'll give you the average of whatever they selected for that section of the application. Okay, let's see. Oh, good question. So this is the final thing that I was going to mention. So for everyone asking about the contract is not available. It should be available later to you today. We had a little hiccup where Zoom Grants wasn't populating your contracts correctly. And so it'll be later today, which is why we gave you until the 17th. Technically, we usually give you 2 weeks exact, so it would have been due on the 16th, but we gave an extra day for that to be available for you to sign. So you'll have the contracts later today or first thing tomorrow appear in your application. Let's see. Since the 11th, it's the 17th for sure. It's the 17th. Let's see, I feel like, did I skip any others? Okay, I think I got up. Okay, yeah. If there's, does anyone else have any other questions? Let's see. Will this presentation be available? Yes. So we will send out an email through Zoom Grants with a link to this recording, so that way everyone can have it and you can forward that email to any of your team members. Let's see. Our fiscal year is July to June of the following year. Does that money have to be used only in 2024? Yes. So within your application, you outlined which July to June 24 because yours is halfway through like the calendar year. You could have done 23 to 24 or 24 to 25. So whatever it was that you outlined in your application is when you'll need to use the funds. How does ZAP support parks? Great question. So this, the ZAP tier 1 and tier 2 is very specific for the arts and cultural side of thing. Parks is its own separate. There is 30% of our fund that goes over to Parks and Recreation, the county division where they use those funds. And then separate of that is the ZAP bond, which is how ZAP funds will be used for there's a 10-year master plan that Parks and Rec does each year. And that's where it goes towards like new rec centers and that kind of thing. All of that process is handled through the Parks and Rec office and it'll be starting in 2025. So you'll want to connect with them about that. Let's see. And I think that's it. Any other last minute questions before we wrap up? All right, cool. Well, thank you all so much for your time and for being here. And I'm glad. Okay, so I did much faster than I anticipated, which is good. We were trying to cut down on time, so I hope that this was still useful for you. And yes, thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's been great. Good seeing your faces. And I'm sure I'll be seeing all of you pretty soon with the next application, and I'll be seeing you through emails and all that fun stuff. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop recording. All right. Thanks, everyone.